Are you a solopreneur and the thought of creating content for social media is something that just feels like a burden every single week? Either thinking about what to create, putting the time and energy into creating it, or putting something up finally and then feeling like the algorithm hates you because nobody even sees it? I totally understand because I talk to people every single day about this, and I know the burden that creating content can feel like when you just want to get back to doing the work that you do best, which is working with your clients. I've created this 4-part mini-series to really help you to think differently about the content that you're creating, how you can actually reframe it in your mind so that it doesn't feel like it's taking away from your work, but it's actually giving you an opportunity to really go deeper with it, and how to create a really simple workflow that takes the burden out of it, makes it simple and quick to do so that you can get something up and out into the world, show your people that you're open for business, and then get back to the work that you really love to do. If you're new here or we haven't met before, I'm Mackenzie-Smith. I'm an award-winning business coach and visibility and marketing strategist. And for the past 12 years, I've supported introverted, highly sensitive, and neurodivergent solopreneurs to understand themselves and their needs and to actually build a business that supports them, that is maybe different from the 6 steps to success that's out there, and instead really learning to listen to themselves and build a business that accommodates their needs so that they can have sustainable growth and momentum in a way that really aligns with their strengths. So let me just walk you through what is coming in this 4-part series, and then we'll get started with today's mini training. So first of all, we're going to talk about building a structure that's really supportive for you, that you can easily show up for before you start adding anything new in. Then we're going to talk about message clarity, the content loop or the content ecosystem that just makes this so much simpler, the mindset shift that completely changed content creation for me, and every client and member that I have shared it with has had a similar experience. And then I've got a bonus weekly workflow for you to start to create something that is really your own and works with your skills and your capacity, instead of just giving you a template of exactly what I do. And the reason for this is because I know that you have amazing ideas, because every solopreneur I talk to, they tell me that they're stuck, and then as soon as they start talking about their work, so much good stuff comes out of that could easily be turned into content. They don't have a lack of ideas, but it is the structure and how to actually put that together into something that's going to really speak to people and connect with them is where most people get stuck, because most of us didn't start our businesses to become content creators, social media gurus, or influencers in a way that most content marketing systems are trying to teach you to be. Most of us just want to get something up, let people know where we are, and then get back to doing the deep work that we really want to do. And that's what I really want to share with you in this series. So let's dive straight into today, which is building your content structure. Consistency is not about posting more. It's about having a system simple enough that showing up does not require a heroic effort. And if you're trying to do too many things at once, most days will feel like, oh my gosh, I need to really dig deep to have the energy to record a video and a podcast and then edit it and then do 3 posts of social media, send an email to my list, and show up in all these communities that I'm in. And I'm here to tell you that you do not need to do that much. In fact, I want to encourage you in today's video to do less. Now, if you follow people like Gary Vee, in fact, a couple of weeks ago, he put a post out where he was saying that now we need to be creating 50 pieces of content a day in order to be able to cut through the noise in the online space right now. And I don't know about you, even as someone who loves to create content, I have a background in media and communications. I worked in TV for 10 years, and I was a blogger before I even started selling anything. And I find content creation easy. The thought of doing 50 pieces of content a day is just overwhelming to me. It just makes me want to run away and hide. So if this is you as well, please know that you're not alone, and also that I fully respect what he is saying, and I can also disagree and find a way that we can make it work for us as well. I know there are probably 2 schools of thought. Please let me know in the comments which one is you. Either you're someone who has this really deep work that you're doing and it means so much to you, and trying to find a way to create content around that is is really difficult. You overthink it, you get in your head, you know you want to be posting, or you should be emailing your list, you should be doing all these things, but you keep overthinking the process and end up not actually getting anything out, but you're still exhausted because you've been thinking so much about it. Or you're somebody who is trying to be everywhere at once, you're trying to do all of the things, and all of your content and your messaging is kind of all over the place, and none of it is actually connected to each other. One thing that I see a lot of people do is they have something that they're excited about, they come out of the gates and they go, okay, I'm going to have a podcast and a YouTube channel, I'm going to post on social media, I've started a free group around it, I'm doing this, I'm emailing my list, doing all of the things, and it lasts for about 2 weeks while they're excited, and then it suddenly becomes way too much. Something changes in their life, they have a low energy week, and suddenly they just drop all of the balls. Then they disappear for a little while, come back a few months later, and do it all again with a brand new idea starting from zero, which is just such an overwhelming cycle to be in. And I know this because I've seen it so many times. I've been through it myself over the years, and I really want to start with a shift about consistency. This is not I'm not a consistent person because I have ADHD and the things that we often tell ourselves that we think consistency should be, where we're showing up the same every single day. It is about the outcome of a system with fewer moving parts. The way to be more consistent online is, instead of trying to do 20 things okay that eventually we're going to run out of steam on, and of course we're going to drop some of those balls some days, is to actually pick one thing to do more often. I've been talking to a lot of people lately who've started a podcast and a YouTube channel, and as someone who has both as well, I understand the feeling of wanting to show up on 2 different platforms to potentially connect with different audiences. But I want to offer you a reframe today, because it is better to do one thing more often than try and do 2 or more things on a less regular basis. Because if you think about the different platforms, every single one of them is designed for you to build an audience there. And think about your energy. If you only have so much energy in the day, you are actually going to be splitting that focus across multiple different platforms, formats, pieces of content, and audiences. Or you can pull it all together and really focus in one place. Take a moment and think about which is going to be more effective for you. And on those days or weeks where you have lower energy, do you think you're going to be able to show up in one place and do that well? Or still try and maintain 6 or 7 different platforms that you're trying to show up in every single week? When you remove the pressure to be everywhere, showing up regularly becomes possible without willpower. It's not that you're having to negotiate with yourself. You let go of the obligation to need to be in multiple places at once, and you also drop the decision fatigue of, what am I going to talk about here? What am I going to post over there? What am I going to do here? And which one of those do I have the time and energy for this week? And instead you just know that you have one idea on one platform that, yes, can be repurposed elsewhere, but coming up with that one thing is so much easier than trying to do multiple things at the same time. And I want to tell you this from a place of experience. Prior to the last couple of weeks, I'm going to show you, I had a podcast, a YouTube channel, and I've got 2 school communities, email, and Instagram. They were my main platforms, and I've been creating different content for each one of them. My podcast has been more of a personal documenting reflection. The YouTube has been more about actual trainings like this one. The different communities that I have are focusing on slightly different things. And then on Instagram, it's just picking and choosing which piece of content I'm going to repurpose to create Instagram posts out of. And I recently realized that even though I've been able to sustain this because I can edit quite quickly and because it doesn't take me that long to create that content, that doesn't mean that's what I should be doing. And so I have taken this from 5 different things down to YouTube, that then becomes podcast. So not 2 separate pieces of content, 1 separate piece of content. I then post it in my free community, which is the Visibility Vault. I'm just going to show you quickly so you can kind of get a feel for how it works. But basically, this is an AI-friendly, search-friendly, and an SEO-friendly summary of the video with timestamps and things. This is a public community, so it can be referenced from Google, and people can find the content because of how this is specifically designed. And that then becomes the free community slash, it's essentially a blog post, high SEO and AI search. And then my social content comes from there as well. So I've gone from all of these different platforms that were doing different things, and now I'm focusing on one idea a week, one piece of content, and anything that gets repurposed out of that is just an extra bonus on top. So when I'm talking about this, I am saying it from a place of I know exactly what it's like to be multi-passionate, to see the opportunity and the potential of showing up on all of these different platforms. And in our minds, we often think, oh, it's so easy to be able to just repurpose or to create content in all these different ways. But I really want to invite you for this week, the one simple thing to create a regular sustainable flow that you can follow for 3 months. And I know for so many of us, the thought of doing anything consistently for 3 months probably feels a little bit overwhelming before we start. But imagine trying to do that with 5 different platforms. So instead, we're going to pick one. You're going to choose your main platform where your core content lives, one place, not 5. And every time you start to sneak outside of that scope, I really want to invite you to come back. As I have just showed you, I am doing this too. So this is in real time what I'm doing. I had all of these different things and I'm streamlining them. They start with the YouTube, and then anything that gets repurposed from there into the other things that I'm doing is a bonus on top. I'm not creating separate pieces of content for every single platform. So please know that I am practicing what I preach here. Then you're going to choose your one supporting format. Now, if you're like me and you've been in business for a long time and you have a lot of experience creating and repurposing content, and you know yourself and that you can continue to maintain a regular cadence each week in your high energy weeks and your low energy weeks, then you may find that you can do more than one. But for most people, I really want you to start with one, and for 3 months, just focus on these two. You have your main platform where your core content lives, your maybe long form content, if that's something you have the capacity for right now. And then you have one supporting place where you then repurpose that to share with people to bring them back to it. So you might be doing Substack and Instagram, and you create your Substack post, then you repurpose that into multiple pieces of content. You post on Instagram to lead people back to your Substack post. You're on YouTube, but you also have an email list. So every time you post on YouTube, you create a couple of emails from that lead people back to go and watch the YouTube video. Is that making sense? Please let me know in the comments. You're going to set a realistic rhythm, not what you wish you could sustain, but what you can actually do weekly. And this is, like I said, I mentioned it before, if you were paying attention, not on your good energy weeks when everything is feeling amazing and you're able to just get through so much, but also on the weeks where you have lower energy weeks or you have other circumstances outside of your control, whether it's personal, whether it's in your life, if you have a job and you have to navigate that. Really paying attention to what your capacity across the month is like and designing a rhythm that is going to work with that, not be constantly fighting against it. So for example, I know that some weeks I don't have as much energy or time available to create video content every week, but on the weeks that are a good week, can I record 2 videos in 1 week to have a backup up my sleeve? Do not set this rhythm based on your best weeks. Set it on what you know you can do on those lower capacity weeks. And the number 4 part is remove everything else. If you cannot do it consistently, it's not part of your system right now. And it also isn't forever. This is a 90-day experiment for you to choose 1 or 2 platforms to create content and to share your work with people and bring them back to that content. It doesn't mean that you are going to never come back to it, but that eventually you may add it in if you feel like you can already sustain what you're doing and you have the capacity to add something else in. There are many people out there who have huge businesses and say you should only focus on one platform until you get that platform to 100,000 followers before you add a new one into the mix. So I'm being very kind here by saying we're just going to test it for 90 days before we change anything. That's just to give you some perspective there. The longer that you can focus in one place, build an audience there, get really good at showing up and creating in that space, the more effective it's going to be. So let me just recap the takeaways from today so that you can really think about how you can implement this before we move on to the next video. Trying to do everything is the main reason most solopreneurs post sporadically. Structure removes the decision fatigue. One platform and one supporting platform is not a limitation. It is the constraint that makes long-term consistency possible. Not only that, you're going to get really good at it. You're going to get more practice, more runs on the board. You're going to start to realize things that you didn't know weeks and weeks ago. And over time, the more reps that you have, the better and quicker you're going to get at creating on that platform, building your audience there instead of constantly starting over on a new platform. Your realistic weekly rhythm matters more than your ideal one. Build the system around what is actually true right now and what is within your capacity across a month, not just on your best days. And just to give you that example again for myself, I have gone from creating all of these different things kind of separately. Sometimes they would lead into each other, but I am streamlining that even more to focus on my YouTube, to take the audio from this and put it on the podcast, to then repurpose that across the other platforms that I'm using. But my focus is this one platform at a time. And so I really want to invite you, even if you just write down everything that you're doing and think about where you want to build traction right now, to really go all in on that for the next 30 to 90 days, but the longer the better. So here's your reflection prompt from today's video. What is your actual weekly capacity for content right now? Not your ideal capacity. If you built your system around this and not what you wish were true, what would you remove? So what could you take away right now that's taking too much time and energy, that is feeling like a real burden, or is just not moving the needle for you, so that you can take the energy that you're putting into that and you can put it somewhere that's going to make a difference. For example, if it's taking you 4 hours to do an Instagram post and you're not seeing any traction over there, just leaving that for now to focus that 4 hours into something that you know you can really build and go all in on. I know this is not the easiest thing to do, and I know there are so many people vying for your attention on different platforms, telling you that their format and this particular platform is absolutely where you should be putting your attention right now. Every content creation platform has had people who've had incredible success on it. And by choosing one and going all in on that, you do not need to get FOMO that you're missing out on an opportunity somewhere else. You just need to find where you're going to put your time and energy right now, knowing that you can always come back to something else later on. But the more places that you're splitting your energy out, the harder it's going to be to sustain. I hope that you found this helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions, or please let me know in the comments which platform you've decided you're going to focus on for the next 90 days. And then make sure to come back for the next video. If you're watching this later after it's already been posted, I will make sure that it is added here, because in the next video, we're going to be talking about your messaging and how that's going to make such an impact and actually make content creation so much more enjoyable for you. So I hope that you'll join us for that one. I hope that you found this helpful, and I will see you in the next one.